What's going on, everyone? Happy Saturday to everyone. Hopefully everyone is doing well, staying safe, healthy. If you had to take a COVID test, hopefully you have tested negative. If you did test positive, I hope you have a full and speedy recovery with no long COVID issues. It is time now for the Saturday edition of the Pandemic Update for Saturday, August 17th, 2024. If you're new to my channel, this is where I do the daily pandemic update on the ongoing COVID pandemic and other viruses that could be a health threat to you. Today we'll be taking a look at several different viruses that are in circulation and that you need to know about. If you're new to my channel, the best way to stay informed with what's going on with everything, such as COVID, which COVID is still spreading and it's still causing deaths. In fact, you're going to see a state today that recorded more than north of 100 deaths. That's right. We'll get to that in a bit. So if you're new here, subscribe down below, give this a thumbs up, hit that notification bell, share this with anyone you know, and leave your comments down below. All right, we have a very busy day today. We're going to get to the news. We're going to do some of our daily data. We're going to do those hospital emergency department visits for people diagnosed with COVID. And of course, we're going to look at the notes, where within those notes, you will see there was a state this week that added over 100 new deaths just in this past week from COVID. Yeah, I'm still saying that here. And in a summer month. So let's get right into it. Starting off with the Paralympics. COVID, it's finding its way there. Sprinter Hunter Woodhall has COVID amid his Paralympics training. Hopefully he can recover and hopefully he won't be infectious when he gets to the Paralympics and everything. But whoa, we got to keep an eye on this. I'm concerned about the Paralympics. These are people that are more high risk, and now we're already starting to see some competitors start to deal with COVID there. So that's not a good thing. In Idaho, measles is the issue there. Health officials on alert as measles case emerges in southeast Idaho. Again, remember, any of these news stories that I show will be linked in a thread that I will put on my website, and you can read the full stories. Taking a look at this, whooping cough cases are increasing in Fairfax County, Virginia, and this is something to be concerned about. It says, pertussis illness, known as whooping cough, is caused by bacteria that spreads from person to person through the air. The Fairfax County Health Department said whooping cough spreads more easily when people spend a lot of time together or share breathing space. Well, we know somewhere where that's going to happen, and it's about to kick off, and already has in some places. That's right, schools. Back to school is in session, and that's one place where whooping cough could continue to spread. It's also a place where other illnesses could spread as well. All right, moving on to this now from Sci-Fi, and he put update. This is on X, Twitter. He put update for the first time during this summer COVID wave, influenza-like illness activity exceeds 2022 year over year as reported in this week's CDC report. So right now things are exceeding 2022. That's not good. That's a bad step backwards. Influenza-like illness activity for the week ending August 3rd in 2024 is 112% worse than 2019 for the week ending August 10th. It is 100% worse now than in 2019. Wow, that is really bad. And there's more to this. We're not going to read the whole thread. We're just going to read some of it. The CDC revised upward 5.7% last week. Influenza illness like activity. This is the highest upward revision he has reported since he began tracking influenza-like illness this year. So this is not good. And he put last week he reported ages 25 plus or more adversely affected than ages 0 to 24. So what's the point of all this? Well, it's showing you people are getting sick much more frequently now than they did before COVID came around in 2020 or before the same period as 2019. So this is just not good news. If you want to read this full thread, I did tweet it out. I retweeted it, I should say. And there'll be a link to it in today's thread over on my website, datareport.info, Recapping something from earlier this week, the UK reported that cases did drop in the past week by 22.5%. Deaths went up 10.9%. They had 193 deaths in the last week, 742 cases, and patients admitted was down by 455. That was 2,695. And you're probably looking here, well, patients admitted is much higher than testing. Yeah, because testing, not everyone reports their test. Not everyone reports their at-home test. It's a mess right now. Some people don't even bother to get tested, or they do when they're at the hospital, and not even all hospitals test. Take a look at this: pollen levels. If you're in the midsections of the United States, there's a lot of red to be had. So pollen levels are bad in the midsection. They're also bad in the Northeast as well. Parts of the Northeast, some parts of New York State where it's raining today, are actually low, and the West Coast is not terrible. Let's take a look at the air qualities all across the United States and see what's going on with that for today. And you can see, yeah, wow, look at the East. The East is really bad. We've been having some bad air qualities here in the East. I know I've been feeling it from time to time. And take a look here up in Canada. Bad air qualities there. Slightly better on the West Coast than what we've been seeing, but there are still some reds. And the Pacific Northwest has a lot of yellow, which is not as bad as these oranges in the East. Wow, look up towards Maine. Ooh, I'm concerned about that. I hope that goes away because, as you may recall, I made an announcement earlier in the week. And just about a week from now, that is somewhere I am going to be headed to. Don't worry, pandemic updates will be continuing during that period, but yikes, not good to see the air quality is bad up there. Taking a look at heat-related illnesses, that's also bad in a lot of different places. Almost every state has some counties that are dealing with heat-related illness issues at this time. You want to learn more about the climate and weather? I don't always get to tweet here, but when I do, it is over at Climate Data Report on X. Hopefully I'll get to tweet something there this afternoon. And taking a look at Philadelphia for yesterday, yeah, it was not good. It was a hot day, but this is just unacceptable. 873 EMS incidents. Way, way too high. That's a lot of calls for an ambulance in just one day. Taking a look at Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, live right now, and what we see there is there's currently 11 calls. We see general mixture of things. We do see there is a stroke in Bridgeport, Pennsylvania, and now taking a look at Chester County, Pennsylvania, we do see there are a few calls there as well for various different reasons. All right, let's take a look at Walgreens for this week. National positivity rate was 38.3%. That was down slightly, and testing did go up. The viral activity level of COVID in Canada is moderate. Flu A, Flu B, and RSV is all low at this time. Taking a look at some new CDC data that just came in yesterday. Good news, epidemic status is likely declining now in New York, Florida, Louisiana, Hawaii, and up in Alaska. The bad news is it's still growing, or likely growing, in a whole bunch of states. Pennsylvania, my state, is still likely growing. Vermont is definitely still growing, as is Massachusetts. It's likely growing in Rhode Island, and Virginia, West Virginia, Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois, Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, all still growing, likely growing in Mississippi and Arkansas. Then you get up to Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, likely growing. It is still growing, as you can see here in the Dakotas, North and South Dakota, Minnesota, and California. Then it is likely growing in Arizona, New Mexico, Idaho, and up in Washington State. All right, let's take a look now. Oh, real quickly before we move on. Stable or uncertain. There's a lot of states that are in that phase as well. Let's take a look now at this week's variant update, and the KP 3.1.1 variant is even further ahead now in the lead at 36.8%. KP.3 has fallen to 16.8%. KP 2.3 is at 14.4%, and LB.1 is at 14.1%, with a whole bunch of variants lower than that just before that number. Reminder, tomorrow is Sunday. Tomorrow will be our wastewater bonanza. We'll do a few news stories and a few of these daily things, but we're going to take a look at a lot of wastewater data on Sunday. So that's why you're not seeing anything wastewater today. All right, here are the emergency department visits. But before we get to that, rather than stopping at a bunch of states to make some detours, I think we're going to get to my notes first. It's a lot easier because, well, they're not all my notes, but there's a lot of notes here. And I do thank user Charles on X and over here on YouTube. He does provide us with some data here in the comments. If you read the comments that come in on my video, look for his comments. He often provides data from states, and as you can see, well, I don't think we got to this yesterday, and plus he added some more. So we're going to get to all these states, but first, I do have something in my notes that I added, and I put back to school shopping crowds. Yes, I witnessed something today. I had to do one of my client today, take a client to the airport, which, as you know, I do mask and take everything very seriously. And coming back, I noticed in the area where there was shopping area here in Philadelphia, my goodness, was it so crowded there. 1 week until school starts here in Philadelphia. We don't even need to wait for back to school to see kids getting infected with COVID. While we know there's going to be outbreaks in schools, just the preparation for that, getting the school supplies, getting new shoes, going to get new clothing, outfits, or maybe in some cases school uniforms. Does your school require a uniform, or do they provide you a place to go get a uniform? All those activities, it's packed on Saturdays. You may get infected, and it takes several days for that infection to actually occur. Then you end up going back to school, and while you're in school, the symptoms start to occur, and then it's too late, and then more people are getting infected. I think that's the very root of where these back-to-school outbreaks start, and some of the other issues are vacations, a whole bunch of different things. We're still in the middle of a massive wave at this time, which is not doing us any favors and is only going to just keep cases elevated for quite some time. We're going to see the national peak soon, but even during that, the backside of the wave, that's where we're going to see the younger ages, our children or teachers, getting infected because of these back-to-school outbreaks. We've already seen 2 this week. All right, we have a lot of states here that Charles supplied us with this week, so we do want to get to this. First off, Georgia, 7,486 new cases and 13 new deaths from this year, including from one of the first week of the year. Kentucky, 2,721 new positive tests and 14 new reported deaths. Massachusetts added another 2,875 new cases. Reminder, folks, all this is during a time where less people even bother to test, or they use these at-home tests, or whatever the case may be. Yeah, these are high numbers. Massachusetts already had another 23 deaths this week, and he said one came from May of this 2020. That's ridiculous. Minnesota, 2,485 new cases, 11 new deaths. North Carolina, 27 new CDC reported deaths. Vermont, this is a big number for Vermont, 244 new cases and 7 new deaths. And yeah, that's big. Florida, here's the one that I was kind of telling you about at the beginning of this video. Here we go. Get ready for it. Florida, 2,382 new cases and 50 new deaths just reported on Friday. Just on Friday. For the week, 16,589 cases and 215 deaths reported over the past 7 days. No, that's not from 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, but yep, the summer of 2024. And reminder, Florida tends to have the bigger wave in the summertime versus wintertime. More people are indoors in Florida right now in the nice comfort of the air conditioning and getting infected by COVID. New Jersey on Friday had 891 new cases and 2 new deaths reported, and 5,459 cases for the week and 17 new deaths. Virginia, 1,255 new cases on Friday, 7,867 for the week. Puerto Rico had 615 new cases and 4 new deaths reported Friday, and 2,765 cases and 12 deaths reported over the past 7 days. California had over 11,330 new positive tests over the past 7 days and 99 new deaths. You see where we're headed here. It's going to be another week where it's over 500 deaths. In fact, it's going to be much higher than last week's report when B&O comes in with their numbers tomorrow night. In my head, I'm thinking somewhere between 7 and 800. Who knows? It might even be higher than that. I don't know. Texas, 4,969 new cases this week, 31 state reported deaths. Illinois, 32 new deaths this week. Pennsylvania, my state, and I would like to comment on this, 31 new reported deaths, 525 new CDC reported hospitalizations in the past week. That is totally ridiculous for my state, given the fact that a lot of hospitals just don't even report, and I'm telling you, I've been reporting on it. My local hospitals, there's several near me. I drove past another one today. They are absolutely mobbed right now. I'm seeing parking lots full on the weekend. It never used to be that way before COVID. Louisiana, well over 2,000 emergency department visits for the third consecutive week and over 2,300 this week. Oklahoma added 20 new CDC reported deaths for the week. All right, let's take a look at those emergency department visits. Again, it's not going to be every state. It's going to be the majority of the states, only the states that are reporting to the CDC. First off, nationally, emergency department visits for people diagnosed with COVID have essentially looked to have peaked. You can see here, it's starting to drop somewhat. Alabama, gotta look really close, maybe starting to drop as well. Alaska has definitely peaked. They are dropping. Arizona, they were dropping, now they're rising once again. Arkansas has risen slightly. California is dropping. Colorado is rising slightly. Connecticut, it looks like you're continuing to rise. Delaware is starting to level off. Maybe will be dropping soon. District of Columbia, Washington, D.C. is dropping at this time. Florida is finally dropping, but we're going to see several more weeks of very high deaths in Florida. I mean, it's ridiculous. Why doesn't Florida want to take this virus more seriously? Why do they have to play to, oh, well, COVID is fake, this? No, it's not fake, folks. You just saw some death reports that are really bad. Georgia, it continues to rise in Georgia this week. Guam is dropping at this time. Hawaii is dropping. Idaho is starting to drop, I hope. Let's see. Yeah, it's trying to. Illinois is, look at this, yeah, it's starting to rise once again. Indiana is rising once again. Your percentage is almost 3% in Indiana. Iowa is rising slightly at this time. Kansas continues to rise. Kentucky trying to slow off and probably will drop soon. Louisiana finally is starting to peak, but you saw they had over 2,000 emergency department visits this week. That's totally ridiculous for Louisiana. Maine is starting to drop slightly. Maryland, flattening. Hopefully will drop soon. Massachusetts is starting to drop slightly. Michigan is still rising. Mississippi is showing signs of dropping. Montana is starting to drop. Nebraska, inching its way a little bit higher. Nevada is dropping. New Hampshire, bouncing off the top at this time. New Jersey, thankfully, is dropping. And real quickly, we're going to take a quick detour. New Jersey today had 496 hospitalizations. It says 70 out of 70 hospitals reporting. We don't know if that's true or not because we've seen these numbers change so much. They've been trending downward now. 8 people on a ventilator. Discharges, 103. That's a good number. It's a lot of people being discharged. 46 people in the ICU at this time. New Mexico is starting to drop. New York State is also starting to drop. We'll have to see how long that lasts. Cases on Friday went up ever so slightly. We'll have to see. Maybe they might have another week where things rise and then eventually drop once again. North Carolina looks to be hopefully peaking. North Dakota is still rising. Ohio is showing signs of peaking and dropping. And I do think in the next week or two, we're going to see Ohio's cases start to drop. Oregon is starting to drop slightly. Pennsylvania, still rising a little bit. I think we got a couple more weeks in Pennsylvania. Rhode Island is starting to drop right now. South Carolina is showing signs of peaking, getting ready to drop. South Dakota at this time, yeah, that's not good. Still up a little bit. Tennessee is starting to show signs of peaking. Texas is peaking and dropping. Utah, it's bouncing off the top a little bit. It's going to drop soon. At least I hope it is, because it sure looks like it's about ready to. Vermont looks like it may be trying to show signs of dropping. We'll have to see what happens. Virginia, what can we say about Virginia? You're getting close to 4%, and it looks like you almost went up a little bit faster this week. That's not a good thing. Washington's starting to drop a little bit. West Virginia is dropping a little bit. Same thing with Wisconsin. We just saw in Virginia. Look at that. It's actually starting to go up a little faster. Usually when you see a state starting to rise really fast, that means it's going to drop relatively soon. And Wyoming, well, you stopped reporting for some reason. And Missouri, I don't think we did you either. You're just not reporting at all. Alrighty, folks, that does it for the Saturday edition of the Pandemic Update. Tomorrow will be the wastewater update. I hope to have it out between the usual Sunday 12 to 2 p.m. time slot. We'll have to see what happens. If there's any noise interference outside or anything, I get all messed up and end up running late. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe down below if you're new. Hit that notification bell. Share this video with anyone you know. Of course, leave your comments down below. I will see you all again next time. Until I see you again next time, stay safe, everyone, and have a fantastic Saturday afternoon. Thanks for watching.